It's time to talk about the next-gen consoles, Jeff. The reviews for the Xbox started to come out today. The embargoes have lifted, and everyone is plastering the internet with their reviews of the first next-gen console to hit the market. With that being said, I'll get to that because there's not much new information because Xbox has been so fucking open about everything that the reviews don't really reveal a hell of a lot more than we already knew. But what we did get today is some PlayStation 5 news that was either intentionally released at the same day that all the embargo shit would be released on the Xbox in the hopes that maybe it gets buried or not. I don't know, because none of it was really particularly positive news, so I don't know what the play was here. But either way, the PlayStation 5 will not natively support 1440p as a resolution. Now, while it is 100% true that the majority of people that are playing console games are plugging this into a TV, there are loads of people that plug it into their computer monitor because they have their computer and everything at their one little station, and they plug it all into the monitor, and they just change the fucking input, and they play their consoles or whatever, you know, especially with monitors getting bigger and bigger. A lot of people using 27-inch monitors, 32-inch monitors. You get this nice little combo of playing your PC games, playing your console games, especially if you can't dedicate a living room space or whatever to the TV or what have you. Some people go in the reverse of using a TV for a PC monitor as well. Both of those have their trade-offs. So the other thing is that there are a not insignificant number of TVs now that also support 1440p and higher refresh rate options. So like 100 hertz, 120 hertz, 1440p as an option on a TV. And with these new consoles coming, where 4K 60 or whatever is not necessarily always going to be an option in games, having the ability to have native 1440 for some of the panels that you might already have in your house is a useful function. PlayStation has decided to not bother with 1440p, so just as a heads up, if you're somebody who does or did plan on playing on, because I already had like a few people message me today specifically when this news came out about the fact that they had just purchased for their gaming setup a couple of 1440p monitors for their PC and their consoles, and then they got this news, and I was like, well, you're fucked. It's not, if it was a PlayStation, you're not going to get it. So you're not going to get 1440p.
They can still use the monitors.
But what they're doing is they're not getting 1440. They're getting 1080 that will get upscaled to 1440. So you can still use them, but you're not going to get your monitor's native resolution in that regard. It's not the end of the world. It's just a very odd choice with these next-gen consoles, knowing what the market looks like currently to not have it. Is it something that they might be able to, in the future with firmware, just say it now supports it? More than likely, yes. But it was just a very odd thing, because it doesn't, I don't see how it would hurt them to support it. So I just don't understand what their thought process behind that was. But just be warned, if you do have that, if you're in that scenario, you will be doing 1080p upscaled to 1440. And since not all 1440p high refresh rate monitors support higher than 60 hertz over HDMI at 1080p, just be aware of that situation. In relation to that, we finally have, now that people have their hands on these consoles, we have a firm idea of the actual usable storage in all of the consoles at this point. So we talked about in the past the varying sizes of the hard drives that all of them have, and what that may or may not present as a problem for some people who like to hoard games like crazy. Well, we now know. So originally we knew that the PlayStation 5 was already at a bit of a disadvantage in that their hard drive was 825, I think it was, gigabytes versus the flat 1 terabyte on the Series X. So we knew that going in there was going to be a discrepancy there because as soon as you add the operating system and all that shit on top, you're not going to get the full 825 and or the 1 terabyte, which just based on how the storage numbers work, you wouldn't in the first place. So the real storage that people are seeing now, I'll give you an idea. So on the PS5, you're looking at what will essentially be somewhere in the neighborhood of 667 gigs of usable space on the main hard drive. That will run you somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 7 or 8 AAA titles, as they are currently. That number will probably get a bit smaller as the life of the console goes on because game sizes will get bigger. But for now, I would say that you're looking at probably, between 5 and 8 would be my guess. The only unfortunate part in that regard for people who might want to load up that hard drive is that at launch anyway, the NVMe expansion slot on the bottom of the console isn't actually active yet and won't be active for, we don't know when that's going to be active. Probably sometime in the new year, I think Cerny was saying would likely be the case. So out of the gate, if for whatever reason you were somebody who was hoping to load up like a bunch of PlayStation 4 Pro games or whatever onto the console and not just like port over from an external drive, you don't have any expansion options right now. You're just going to have to kind of wait that bad boy out. So I don't know. I'll talk about the other ones first before I give my thoughts on this. So the Series S is actually the elephant in the room of all three of these consoles because the Series S had the 512 gig hard drive, which means it has 364 gigs of usable space for the user. That's like a handful of games for sure, and since it's not doing 4K gaming, it will get, probably the ratio of games it will be able to install is probably not dramatically different, but 364 gigs of usable space on any next-gen console is pretty bad. I mean, that's a fucking small amount of space. Now for the Series X, you're looking at 802 gigs. So of all the three, the Series X is giving you, by a relatively decent margin of a little over 100 gigs, 140 gigs almost, the most room. So you're going to get another couple, 2 to 3 games out of that. Here's my deal with all this. And it was similar to when we were first talking about the storage stuff before. I don't think any of these next-gen consoles, especially the big ones, the S is its own special thing. I think the S should be a terabyte. And I think the X and the PS5 should be 2 terabytes each. With the size of games as they are, and with the cost of drives, I understand they're using very expensive next-gen storage for these bad boys. But it is painful to go in to the next generation and know that you have, for all intents and purposes, regardless of the speed of the drives, the same or far less storage than you did in the generation previous. It's going to be, I will be interested to see in 5 years from now how many people, for example, are forced to go and buy expansion cards. Because they just want to be able to install more than 4 or whatever games at a time. But either way, these are all pretty small. I mean, you can get cell phones with flash storage with fucking damn near that much space or more. So I don't know how I feel about it personally. But the PS5 at 600 and something, that's pretty rough. I mean, versus the Series X, you're literally down 140 gigs. But it's the same price. The console is the same price. The PS5 is also 20% slower from the graphics perspective than the Xbox, but it's the same price. But here's the real thing though, and this is the reality of the situation. Neither of them really, but the PlayStation does have the leg up here. There are no fucking games. All of this is moot. It's kind of whatever. The Series X reviews are glowing. Everyone is sucking the dick dry of the Xbox Series X. It runs cool. It plays all of your games faster at higher resolutions and higher refresh rates. Or higher frame rates, I should say. With automated HDR in some titles. It plays with all of your old controllers from the previous generation, so you don't have to spend more money on that. It's smaller and easier to fit into your entertainment system than the competitors. But as nice as that is, and it's like I said, it's more powerful and has more storage. But Jeff, where the fuck are the games? Their entire marketing campaign is that it does play the old games faster and prettier. But they're old games. So, who are you selling this console to right now? Other than people who don't have a PC, I guess, who want to be able to replay games they've likely already played, but at a better frame rate and higher resolution. How big is that market? And the PlayStation doesn't get away with much better in that regard. They've got Demon Souls, and I mean that would be the only. That's like the only real one that a lot of people are talking about that is close to a proper next gen title. And so, who are they selling these consoles to right now? Who buys a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X? I could see an S for some people who are just getting into the market, dipping their toes in the water, maybe, just from a price perspective. But who's buying these consoles, Mr. Black? I mean, they're flying off the shelves, obviously, but is that just people like that just want to be, they just have it? Because what are they going to do with these consoles? So, like, who are they selling these consoles to?
People that are buying the next iPhone. I mean,
it's the new.
It's the new. It's the new. You know? Fucking Kayla wants a new iPhone for Christmas or whatever. And I look at her, I go,
but why?
Why? Your iPhone fucking whatever you have now, 9X, I don't know. I actually don't know. But whatever one you have is going to do what the other one does, except the other one might take a little bit better pictures.
Slightly.
So why am I spending $1,000+ again? Why? Well, the answer is, Adam.
Because it's the new.
Because it's the new. It's shiny. It makes me feel good for 15 minutes when I first get it. I get to unbox it, and I feel like I'm in the in crowd. I have something to tweet out and put on Instagram. The gram.
Doing it for the gram. Yeah,
the people are going to buy their Xboxes. They're going to buy their PlayStations. They're going to play their old games. They're going to go, why in the fuck did I buy this when I got no fucking games to play? They're probably 80% of them are going to say that exact sentence.
In like the first 5 days of owning the console.
Yes. But they're going to still use it. They're going to play their old games. They're going to boot up their Spotify and their Twitch streams on it and their Netflix. And they're just going to use it like they did all the other stuff. So, yeah. And as for the hard drive, it doesn't fucking matter. There's no games.
Yes. Yeah.
And there ain't no games for a while. We're in the middle of Corona season. Ain't nothing coming out. And when something does come out, it's going to be like one game in a year and a half. So you're not going to have to worry about getting another hard drive or your poor little 667 gigs being used up. You're going to have plenty of space. So cry me a fucking river. It's like, hey,
it's like oddly convenient for them that there are no games to fucking come out, so that the hard drives like somehow aren't as big of a deal because you have no fucking games to play. It's like in a normal release window where you, even for the last generation, both consoles had between 3 and 5 proper next generation specific games launching with both. This generation, you've got the biggest talked about game is a remaster of a fucking like decade old game.
Yes.
And nothing else.
Yes.
And everyone, and the biggest talking point of the Xbox is the fact that you play your old shit better because there's nothing new to play. And so the PlayStation's entire marketing campaign is come play Demon's Souls for like 2 years. And then on the Xbox side, it's come play our entire catalog that you've probably already played for 2 years.
Yeah, Game Pass.
Game Pass. Come get some.
Yeah, this is the most. I don't even have my PlayStation 5 pre-ordered. I don't care. What am I running out for? I guess Demon's Souls. Yeah, it looks fucking great. If I can get my hands on a console and Demon's Souls, I'll pick one up. But I sure as shit ain't gonna be scouring the internet, paying 4 times the market rate, or 2 times the market rate, or 7 times the market rate, so I can get another iPhone, essentially. I can wait. Some people can't. I can. And it's really that simple. So it is a very unexciting time. This is the most unexcited I've seen the public, myself, in terms of the next generation.
Which is unfortunate because from a hardware perspective, it's like the biggest leap we've ever had, but there's no games.
No games. So, there are some people that are fucking jazzed and pumped about, having the new thing and just knowing that it's here. It feels more real. But at the end of the day, like, where are the first party titles? Every console I can think of that I've purchased all the way since Super Nintendo have had their first party titles and their trademark games come with a console. Something. Even if you're not a fan of Super Mario, which you've got to be a different breed of human to at least not enjoy that. But say, for example, Halo, right? Even if you're not a Halo fan, at least there was something coming with the console that had people talking and excited. This, there ain't fuck all. There ain't nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. The closest thing we got is Cyberpunk, which went gold and ain't coming out yet. It's fucked. And the funny thing about it is I think coronavirus help these cocksuckers. Because even if the coronavirus didn't hit, there wasn't shit coming anyway. At least now there's an excuse. Yeah. There wasn't nothing coming.
True, yeah.
So, it's an exciting time from a hardware standpoint. It's an exciting time because, like, finally the consoles are performing better than the PCs. It's only going to last for so long before the PC goes, sup.
Well, it's already saying sup. It's just you have to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. But from a standpoint from dollars to hardware, I mean,
it's night and day.
It's night and day. Like you can't even compare. And we've done it here on the podcast. So, it's an amazing time hardware wise, but there's no software to go with it. There's no applications. I mean, What a very fast startup screen we have here. I just love the way the game jumps right into the gameplay. Wait, there's no gameplay. There's nothing. We have nothing. So I'm not saying you can't get excited about this in another year or 2 years. It's almost going to be like we're going to have 2 releases of the consoles. Like we're going to have this. And then in about another year, year and a half, 2 years, we're going to have like an official release of the Xbox and PlayStation where people go, okay, you're going to see a massive uptick in sales when they actually come out with some games to get people excited, running out to the stores and going out and buying the shit. Because right now, you're basically like those testers that grabbed an Oculus when they first came out. You're like, man, these dev kits, it's amazing to have one of these. These are, man, VR is fucking amazing. It's the future, bro. But then you got to like be a software engineer and like know 3 different types of script in order to get a game to play. And then you get a game to play and you realize it's just a tech demo that you also need to be a scientific genius to get running. And then you play it and it's like, ooh, it's impressive. But I think I'm just going to kind of wait for the next model where I can plug it in and go. That's what this feels like. And for some, that's exciting. You get your hands on it. You can, be the first ones to fuck around with it and be the cool kids. Or you could be like me, where it's just like, meh.
I gotta be honest, Jeff. I gotta be honest here. If I was in the market right now, if I had a PS4 Pro or regular PS4, or an Xbox Series X or an Xbox One, or whatever the fuck, and you're looking at the pipeline for new games that are really going to benefit from these new consoles, and how many of those are likely going to be something that you're even interested in, you're looking at 2 years before the Series X gets a game that is properly, definitively 100% from the ground up built to make every last fucking ounce of power out of it, make it work. Because they're going to be building for previous gen at the same time. And until you take that fucking yoke off the back of developers, you're never going to have it be 100% what you should have expected from day fucking one. And I've said this before, every new console generation should have a minimum of 1 to 3 bangers that are just visually, they don't even have to be a good game. You have to get people excited about the fucking hardware and not just talk about it on a piece of paper. Right? We're not really getting that. And so, for people, this would be my suggestion. Honestly. You're looking at a 2-year period. If you can salt away between now and the end of, like a year from now, or 2 years from now, if you can salt away between $1,000 and $1,500 in that period, that almost 2-year period, wait for computer part sales, wait for shit to like just roll through, and just slowly in the background accumulate your new PC, and then slap in a fucking graphics card at the tail end of her, and then when it's all said and done, you were gonna shit all over these 2 consoles. And you're gonna spend more money, but you're doing it over a period of fucking time where you won't likely notice a damn difference anyway. Unless you're somebody who wants to sit on the couch, which is 100%, we talked about this in the past, couch gaming is still life. At the end of the day, it's fucking life. That is where gaming happens, is on the fucking couch as far as I'm concerned. If you're looking to get the most utility and the most games, especially with Game Pass being on the PC, that's probably your ultimate play. If you're somebody who just wants to sit on the couch and do their thing, then yeah, 100%. Hop in on one of these bad boys. But don't pay scalper prices. You're not missing the boat on anything. Even there's literally nothing that's coming for at least a year minimum to go and buy that shit. Just wait. Wait it out. That's all there is to it.